Cousin requested a last-minute tattoo at his wedding, but it was his ex's birthday. Hey, let me give you a bit of background about myself. I'm a tattoo artist. I went through an apprenticeship and have been in the business for 4 years now. Just recently, I opened up my own studio. Anyway, me and my family got invited to a wedding in another state. My cousin, let's call him Matt, is getting married, and we got the invite a few months back. Fast forward, and now the wedding is just a week away. Out of nowhere, Matt sends me a text. He's like, "Hey, are you going to tattoo me on my wedding day?" I was super confused because I hadn't planned on bringing my tattoo gear. I didn't even arrange for a guest spot, which is when a tattoo artist works temporarily at another studio to build their clientele. I jokingly asked Matt if he had a machine, still hoping he wasn't serious. He just came back with, "Don't you have one? It won't take much space." I replied, telling him that my equipment is more than just a machine. It includes colors, hygiene stuff, stencils, needles, etc. Plus, I wasn't prepared to tattoo at a wedding, not knowing anything about the venue layout, or whether it's indoors or outdoors, and so on. Matt then tells me he had planned this, and it would mean a lot for him to get a tattoo on his wedding day, especially if I were the one doing it. This was the first I'd heard of this plan. I tried explaining that I wasn't comfortable with this, especially with such short notice. I'm working up until the day me and my brother fly over for the wedding, and a tattoo needs to be designed first, right? Matt saw my message but didn't reply. Then, today, my mom called, absolutely furious. She asked why I couldn't just tattoo Matt, saying it would mean a lot to both families, and it could be my wedding gift. She didn't even let me explain before hanging up. I talked to my brother, and he just shrugged it off, saying, "It would be nice of you, though." Now I'm unsure what to do. I'm not comfortable with the situation, especially since I've never done guest spotting, and traveling with my equipment is a whole other thing. Am I being selfish? It seems like everyone else thinks it's a big deal, and I'm just saying no. Oh, and by the way, I already have a wedding gift. Their invitation included a wish list, and one item was artwork for their new house, so I spent several days oil painting something for them. Also, Matt doesn't have any tattoos as far as I know. I don't get why my mom is so upset about this. Maybe she just wants to keep everyone happy. Honestly, the idea of tattooing at a wedding seems pretty bad. You shouldn't mix tattoos and alcohol, and knowing Matt, there will be plenty of it at the wedding. Plus, if I'm tattooing, I can't drink either, which I hadn't even thought of until now. It feels inappropriate for him to expect me to work for free at an event where I'm a guest. Am I even licensed to tattoo in another state? This whole thing sounds crazy. If Matt wants a tattoo, he should cover my hourly rate, the cost of hauling my equipment, and my travel expenses. And of course, he needs to pay up front, since this is a special service. I mean, my mom and Matt might think of this as a wedding gift, but it feels so presumptuous. They already had a list of things they wanted as gifts, and if they wanted a tattoo, they should have mentioned it when they sent out their list. Plus, it's completely impractical. They're going to Bali right after the wedding, and a fresh tattoo means Matt wouldn't be able to swim or be out in the sun. Honestly, their behavior is making everything super awkward. If they keep pushing, I might not even attend the wedding, which would suck, but this is all too much. Plus, I don't even know if the bride is in on this plan. It's just crazy. Does Matt even understand how time-consuming a tattoo can be? He has no tattoos, so he probably has no idea. This whole request is just out there. Anyway, thanks for letting me vent. If Matt really wants a tattoo, he should come to my studio where it's professional and safe. So, you can totally do it for him, either before or after the wedding as a wedding gift, but definitely not during the ceremony. Geez, this is so ridiculous. Update 1. Wow, have these last few hours been a whirlwind? First off, I called my mom, and she asked me again, really nicely this time, if I would tattoo Maddie at his wedding. And again, I had to tell her no, listing all the reasons I'd already given her, plus some excellent points you guys had mentioned. Before she could say anything else, I made it clear that I felt she didn't take my tattooing seriously. She was silent for a bit, then said she thought it wasn't a big deal. I had to remind her that it is a big deal and that she should know how my job works. She finally apologized a lot, so I asked her if she'd like to come see me work on a client, and surprisingly, she said yes. Mom's tagging along tomorrow. Now, onto Maddie, or rather, his bride. I finally got in touch with the bride, let's call her Becky, and asked her about this whole tattoo at the wedding thing Maddie brought up. She seemed shocked because she thought I was just making them something for their new house, like a painting. I told her Maddie's idea was out of nowhere, and it was a terrible idea for many reasons. She immediately agreed with me, and she thanked me for letting her know because no one else had. Becky seemed really mad, but she kept her cool. Honestly, I would have lost it. I assume Becky confronted Matt after our call because a few hours later, I checked the family group chat. Becky had posted a message saying there would be no ceremony on the 13th because she and Matt decided not to get married. She said they needed to figure things out and asked us to contact them tomorrow. They'd be on flight mode for the rest of the day. After dinner, Becky called me to apologize for Matt again, saying it was a stupid idea of his and he just thought it would be cool. She then told me she still wanted me to come over on the wedding day because she planned to host a party instead of a wedding. Everything was paid for, so she didn't want it to go to waste. I asked if they broke up, and she said not yet, but that she's staying at her sister's for now. It sounds like Matt hasn't been great, but I'll probably hear more about it later. Turns out my brother and mom aren't invited, lol. My call must have been the last straw, but Becky's handling it gracefully, and I'm sure Matt will be okay too. So I'm going to a party, and it seems like I might have made a new friend. Thanks for having my back, everyone. Update 2, welcome back. I'm finally done writing this. Thanks to everyone who's been following this saga. I appreciate all of you and love that you're enjoying the tea. So, because many of you asked, here's how Bring Your Mom to Work Day went. I picked her up in the morning and we headed to the studio. I gave her a tour, shared some background stories about the artworks and photos on the walls, and explained my routine as I prepped everything. When my client arrived, I carried on as usual, just with my mom there, watching. I explained every step of the process, and she asked about my ink, needles, technique, you name it. It was so fun having her there, and she really surprised me with how open and interested she was. After I finished the tattoo, she had to leave for work, but thanked and hugged me, saying she loved seeing me in action and appreciated my work more now. Now, on to the wedding. Well, party. The party started at 4 o'clock since the ceremony was canceled. When I arrived, Becky's sister welcomed me warmly and helped me with my painting. Everyone was outside, already drinking and snacking. I went to say hi to Becky, who seemed tired but otherwise okay. She was smiling a lot, which was nice to see. I mingled for a bit instead of bombarding her with questions right away. I met a bunch of her friends, and most of them weren't fans of Matt. I heard some stories about how he tried to change Becky, wanting her to be more like his ex. Not a good look, Matt. None of Matt's friends or family were there, other than me and one other cousin. Later, at dinner, I asked if I could sit at Becky's table, and they said yes. So, there I was, sitting with Becky, her sister, and 3 of her friends. I introduced myself to one of them, and Becky mentioned I was the cousin who was supposed to tattoo at the wedding. This got everyone talking about Matt. I asked what happened, and Becky's sister just rolled her eyes and said, "What didn't happen?" Becky and her friends filled me in. Apparently, Matt had been nitpicking at Becky for being herself, asking her to change her workout routine, criticizing her cooking, wanting her to grow her hair or get extensions, and even subtly suggesting she be more like his ex. His ex is from Texas, by the way. Becky explained that these things didn't seem so bad individually, but they kept piling up. She'd made some changes to please Matt, but mostly did her own thing. Over time, the issues kept coming up in different ways. The last big fight was only a few days ago, so, a few weeks ago, my cousin Matt accidentally called his fiancée, Becky, by his ex's name. They somehow smoothed things over, so let's fast forward to the time I called Becky about a tattoo idea. After our chat, Becky went up to Matt and asked him why he hadn't talked to her about it, and why he thought it was a good idea to spring something like this on their wedding day. Matt tried to explain that he wanted it to be a surprise and stuff like that. Becky told him that she wasn't on board with it, and that she wanted to actually enjoy their wedding and honeymoon. They seemed to agree in the end, and Matt apologized. But later, this whole thing nearly floored me. Becky was starting to cook dinner while Matt was just sitting at the counter, being all casual. They started talking about tattoos again, just a chill conversation. Becky asked him playfully what he planned to get tattooed. He gestured across his chest and said he wanted to get his birth date, their wedding date, and her birth date. So, he said his birth date was June 13th, 2024, and then added another date. Becky said she went momentarily blind because that third date wasn't her birthday. She asked him again, and he repeated the same dates. Becky corrected him, telling him that wasn't her birth date. He insisted it was, and suggested she was trying to mess with him. Becky started crying, grabbed her purse, and showed him her driver's license. That's when Matt's face changed. He tried to make excuses, saying he's bad with dates and whatnot. But Becky checked Facebook and found his ex's profile, which showed that the date he intended to tattoo was actually his ex's birthday. If I hadn't called and Becky hadn't said no, my dumbass cousin would have ended up with his ex-girlfriend's birthday next to his wedding date on his chest. Becky told him it was over and that she'd had enough. She immediately started reorganizing the whole wedding and honeymoon plans while kicking him out of the house. A bit later, she called me back and mentioned she didn't want to talk about it over the phone initially because she thought I might tell the family and she didn't want to hear any of it. Fair enough. I get that. Becky also changed the honeymoon booking and is now taking her best friend instead. Also, if you're wondering, Becky's dad currently owns their house. They had agreed to slowly pay him back because of his financial stability, which made more sense. As far as I know, Becky is going to stay there anyway, so that's the tea, folks. It was a wild ride, and I'm pretty sure Becky and I are going to be good friends because we really hit it off. I don't have much respect left for Matt, so I'm not sure I'll keep in touch with him at all. Some comments on this whole situation. Ren1101. Thanks for the update. What a wild ending. Becky sure put up with a lot before reaching her tipping point. I was wondering, do you know how long Becky and Matt dated before the wedding day? It seems crazy that he would be so sure of the wrong birthday. Have they celebrated Becky's birthday before? Has he ever said happy birthday to her on the wrong day? Either way, I'm glad it came out, and you all are living your best lives without Matt's nonsense clouding things. Suspicious fruit. 243 OP. They were together for about 3 years, I think. Yara Hervey. I've got a feeling that Matt still isn't over his ex. I assume she's the one who left because if he's the one who left her, he's incredibly dumb. But from what you told us, I wouldn't put it past him. The end of that relationship is a good thing for Becky, and in some way, for Matt too. Now he's free to pursue his ex again. LOL. Thank you for the update, and I'm glad your relationship with your mom has improved. Now you can distance yourself from toxic people in your family. Matt, I'm looking at you. Good luck to your friend. Update 3. Hi everyone. Not sure if anyone still cares, but I thought I'd give a tiny update on how everything went. First of all, since that question came up a few times, I'm a woman. While Becky and her bestie went to Bali as planned during her vacation, we texted quite a bit. When they came back, we still kept texting. Initially, it was all very polite and superficial. She thanked me for telling her about the whole tattoo thing, for showing up at the party anyway, and for the painting I gifted her, etc. We got into other conversations about music, movies, and hobbies. Turns out we have a lot in common. She's just as nerdy as I am, so we bonded over anime and different games. I never had a female friend to share these interests with before. She's also coming over for a few days next week, and I'm super excited. Anyways, I'm very happy with how everything turned out, and to see that Becky is doing very well without my cousin. LOL. She's truly relieved and is blooming beautifully. Thanks everyone for your messages and comments. I really appreciate it. Comments. No Toila 88. That's great. BTW, have you heard from Matt? Suspicious Fruit 243 OP. Nothing direct, but I've talked to his mom. Apparently, he actually did try to reach out to his ex, but I have no idea what's going on there. LOL. Becky asked me out. Update 4. Hi everyone, I'm very excited. Becky asked me out on a date. It's only in October because she wants to take it slow and needs more time since the wedding wasn't that long ago, but she wanted to make her current feelings clear to me. Comments. Sunflower and Dream. OOP traded her loser cousin for a new friend. Not a bad trade so far. Lucy Arya Rose. Honestly, things seem to have turned out well for OOP. New friend, her mom understands her better, and she didn't have to get a tattoo with her jerk of a relative. All. Radis. I still can't get over the idea that Matt thought he could get a chest piece at his wedding and just keep going. It's a wound. It oozes and bleeds and hurts. The wrong birthday was just the cherry on top. Chukin 5. Yeah, I've gone to work after getting a hip and wrist tattoo. While it wasn't unbearable, I had to uncover the hip for periods of time at my desk. It still wasn't an enjoyable workday. Expecting to dance and honeymoon after a fresh tattoo? What an idiot. Coffee and punk records. I'm heavily tattooed and recently got my stomach done. I work from home, and for about a week afterward, the rest of the comment cuts off. So last week, I was taking calls while wearing gym shorts and a button-down shirt with the last few buttons undone. This guy is a mess, even before you take the whole birthday fiasco into account. Michaela, it sounds like the cousin was basically using Becky as a stand-in for his ex. He's clearly not over her, trying to mold Becky to be more like his ex, even calling her by the ex's name. And then there's the whole birthday tattoo thing. They've been together for 3 years, and he never even knew her actual birthday. He was so confident that he had her birthday right and wouldn't budge. It's like he didn't care about Becky at all. She was just a stand-in for his ex, someone he could project his idealized image onto. It's a good thing she got out of that situation. People were shocked about the birthday mix-up after 3 years together. It reminds me of when my ex asked me to call a solicitor when we were getting divorced. The solicitor, in a very monotone voice, asked for my date of birth. After 15 years together, my ex couldn't remember it. So yeah, guys like that definitely exist.